Good morning everyone, today is a discussion video mainly revolving around the story of NGS because I've been playing several games recently. I completed the Sumeru region in Genshin Impact, and I've also been playing Goddess of Victory Nikke on my phone, and I realized that the story is kind of important to a certain degree, and I just want to share my thoughts as well as hear your thoughts in the comment section below. But before we jump into all of that, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So for those who don't know, the story of Genshin Impact is actually very copy pasta, very simple. It's like, oh, you're a traveler, you go to a new region, there's a crisis there or some sort of problem, and you gotta solve the problem. And it's pretty much the same formula for every new region you go to or every new continent you go to. So if the formula is the same for every single region, most people would probably get bored of the story, right? Well, it's the execution, it's the investment. It's how the story is unfolded in Genshin Impact, which gets you invested into characters and make you actually care about specific people and what happens to them. And I think that is one of the main strengths of Genshin Impact, is your attachment to specific characters. You tend to like specific characters over others, and then when something happens to them or like they're going through some hardship, you really feel that emotion and you're kind of like, God dang it, this sucks. Or vice versa, when they're winning, you're just like, yeah, you cheering them on and stuff like that. Well, the thing about NGS right now is I don't feel any attachment to any of the characters. Sure, I know the main characters are of course Aina as well as Manon. Well, the thing is I don't know enough information about them and I don't really care too much about them at the moment because of how the story is executed. Sure, we're going from region to region. It's just the same formula as Genshin Impact. You go to a new region, they've got some sort of problem, you gotta solve the problem. It's a very simple formula. However, it's the execution that's really lacking in NGS. In NGS, it kind of feels like even though I'm quote-unquote the main character, I'm just getting thrown into situations. I'm just teleporting all over the place. It's like, oh, now I'm suddenly here. Oh, I gotta kill all these enemies. Cool. Like, that part is great. Everything about the combat part is great about this game. The gameplay part is great, but it's missing that key component of why should I even care about these people? Why am I coming to Kavaris to help these people? Why am I going to Retem to help these people? Why should I even care about these people in the first place? It doesn't establish that emotional attachment to these characters, and when I compare the main storyline playtime from NGS to Genshin Impact, it's night and day. Like in Genshin Impact, just the Sumeru region alone took me like 8 to 10 hours to complete, while the Kavaris region took me like 2 hours, and this is with me watching every single cutscene and like not skipping any dialogue. It took me 2 hours versus Genshin Impact's 8 to 10 hours. So obviously Genshin Impact had a lot more time to establish some sort of emotional connection with specific characters and actually care about what is happening in the world around me. And so we've seen Sega take a couple steps towards the right direction. They added like the quote-unquote like extra dialogue sort of stuff with the NPCs. When you're out in the open field, you'll notice that, oh, Manon is just standing there, Aina's standing there, Nadare is standing there, and you get to talk to them and you get to know a little bit more about them. Like, did you know Nadare does secret dance classes? That might not be something that you guys know about unless you actually talked to Nadare and actually did her little special side quest to understand like, oh, why is she hiding in the middle of South Retem? And well, you talk to her and you realize that she's actually practicing her dance because she's not comfortable with her dancing abilities in the concerts. So that's, that's a cool little dialogue, but a lot of people miss that. A lot of people aren't going to be going out of their way to do those quests because they're like, why should I even bother? It's an optional thing, I don't care. But if that part was just thrown into the main storyline, then people would care a little bit more, or at least people would know a little bit more about Nadare, about all the other characters, and that way there's a higher chance of establishing some sort of emotional connection with these characters and actually caring about them. Now, another thing that Genshin Impact does very well that NGS really needs to improve is on world building. In Genshin, you've got a ginormous world, but other than just finding treasure chests and killing hilly trolls, you actually know a little bit more about the world. There's Liyue, there's Mondstadt, there's Sumeru. You know all the different regions. They all have their different lifestyles and different norms, and it's really cool to go from region to region. But in NGS, it doesn't really seem to be like that. You know, Alio versus Retem versus Kavaris, they're kind of just like, oh, this is just a new hub. This is where I get all my quests. This is where I hang out. This is where I get my EXP. This is where the shop is. It's just like, oh, this is a new hub. It doesn't really feel like we're actually in a new region because it just feels like an environment refresh. This is the desert region, this is the snow region, this is the regular beginner region. Like, there's really a lack of any sort of world building. So I'd really like to see a little bit more side quests or something along those lines to actually introduce the player to each region and make people care about the situation and the problems and the people who live in said region. Because like Kavaris, you know, Kavaris is a harsh environment. But when you go to Central Kavaris, you know, sure, you've got the robots. We don't really care about the robots because they're, you know, they don't really live the hard life because they don't need sustenance, but there are people there. So where do the people get their food, and why should I help these people in the first place? And there's just that lack of connection there. Sure, there are some side quests is like, oh, go over here for sightseeing reasons, and sure, it makes you travel around Kavaris and all the other regions, but it's just, there's no attachment to the people in Kavaris, no attachment to the people in Retem or in Alio either, so it just kind of feels like, oh yeah, we're just here to kill stuff, right? And sure, for some people that might be fine. For me personally, yeah, I'm okay with just going in and killing stuff, and that brings me to the example of Goddess of Victory Nikke. This is a mobile game, and heck, even a freaking mobile game which its main selling point is super ultra jiggles of booba and cake. Even this game has a better storyline than NGS. At least I have some sort of attachment with the main characters in Nikke. Like, you get to know the girls very, very quickly in the game. You know what they like, you know what they dislike, and you have some really dumb dialogue with the characters together, which makes these characters very likable. But in NGS, like, you look at Manon. What do you know about Manon? I don't know anything about Manon. I only know that she's hiding some secret. Oh, great. What do I know about Aina? Absolutely nothing other than she's really emotional and really gung-ho sometimes. That's about it. So I really feel like the story is kind of important to NGS to make people care a little bit more about the characters, because right now it's really, really hollow, and yeah, I really don't care about any of the characters in NGS at the moment. But let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about the story of NGS. Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again. But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it entertaining. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye!
What can I say except you're welcome for the heals, the boosts, the